Well,
All right, so besides headwork, which we've covered quite well, you also do balancing uh, flywheels and such. Tell us a little bit about that.
well, flywheel balancing is something that you find that needs to be done more so on the older motors. If you change your piston weight a great deal, or the weight of your rods, for instance, if you were to go from a stock connecting rod to an S&S rod, the S&S rod is quite a bit heavier, beefier, and it requires rebalancing the flywheel. Most of the work in balancing flywheels comes down weighing out all the parts and working out on paper what the balance factor is. Once you have that down, basically what you're doing is you're putting a balance shaft through the flywheel and putting that on these beams, which I don't have leveled right now, along with a bob weight in the crank pin taper of the flywheel. And basically what you do is you start drilling holes until you get it statically balanced, where you can set it in any place and it won't move. It's not real high tech, but it's worked for as long as they've been balancing flywheels. The more modern versions do it dynamically, and that does a good job. It's fairly spendy equipment, and I haven't found the need for it because, for the most part, the older motors that I do lend themselves real well to doing the balancing statically.
I'm sure it's just tedious work.
Yeah,
Taking some off,
it
test
takes
it,
some,
take
yes,
it off, test
yes.
it. You know, like you said, it's easier to remove material than it is
Right.
add it. So
So it's basically drill a little bit and then put it back on and see where you're at. And worst case scenario, sometimes you have to start out by adding into old balance holes. Say if it's been balanced for one set of pistons and it's already too light on one side, then you have to add some material on that side because sometimes you can't take it out of the other side. But it's fairly straightforward. It's nothing. It's not rocket science.
right. Well, are there any services that you offer that we haven't covered yet?
Well, yeah, pretty much anything for a Harley engine.
Engine, transmission.
Engine and transmission. I do a lot of 4-speeds because a lot of the shops don't do 4-speeds anymore. They're a little more, take a few more special tools. They're a little tougher than the later model transmissions.
Okay.
Basically, pretty much anything you need for your Harley motor I can normally take care of.
Okay. And of course, you are right next door to, actually, you kind of share space through a door with American Thunder, and they take care of, if somebody comes in looking for, you know, I don't know, parts or just general service work, they take care of it. If they want special engine work performance, stuff like that, that's kind of what you take care
Right.
of here.
Anything, I don't work, as a rule, I don't work on anything in a rolling chassis.
Okay.
So, say for instance you needed some porting work done, but you didn't want to pull the heads yourself, you could bring it next door, they'd take the heads off, bring them over to me, and then they would take care of the reassembly.
Okay. So you got it set up good with another shop
Yep.
to take care of. If it's not something you do, they do it. You can take care of
Right.
just about anything anybody could want, I'm sure. And I'm sure you're hooked up with you guys are hooked up with a painter and whatnot. So
Oh, yeah.
just about anything somebody wants done.
Yep.
But really, the engine work, obviously, I'm sure you can tell by now, he knows what he's talking about, he knows what he's doing. So if you need some good engine work done, some good performance, this is the guy you want to see. You said you do stuff for other shops in the areas. They'll send you stuff that they no longer do anymore, like you said, 4-speeds and stuff. A lot of shops
Yeah, I
don't touch into certain things just because they're too old or whatever.
Mostly porting work. I do get some machining, like boring crankcases for big bore cylinders,
Okay.
that type of thing. But I've probably got over half a dozen different shops in the area and outstate that send their porting work to me. And so if there's a good chance, if you have a favorite shop, it's a good chance they might already be dealing with me for
Okay.
porting work.
Cool. There's one more thing we got to do. We got to go out and explore his wife's motorcycle that's sitting out front. Let's go show him that. All right. Now you said this is your wife's bike.
Yeah.
She's very lucky. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, it's a 1947 knucklehead. It's a 61 cubic inch. She purchased it in, I believe, about 1988. And over the next year or two, I took it completely apart, powder coated the frame. This is actually one of the last paint jobs I ever did. I don't paint anymore. Did a lot of chroming, rebuilt the engine and transmission, and actually that bottom end and stuff has been together since then. In 1990 we took it out. We were racing out in Sturgis, and so of course we had this out there too, and my wife rode in and entered it in the Rat's Hole show and took first place in her class with it. Of course that was when everything was perfectly fresh. It's starting to show a little bit of its age now, but it's still a pretty nice running bike. And
Bet you turn a lot of heads with this.
yeah, it's the old bikes like this are they tend to be real popular. I mean, they get attention. I actually have an old fiberglass sidecar for it so that the dog can ride to work with me. And that's when you really get people. You'll have them using their cell phones to take your picture at stop signs.
And your bike, you said, was a 46?
I have a 46 that's real similar to this, except it doesn't have the chrome on it. It's basically a stock restoration. Interestingly, we've had both bikes in the same show before, and hers will always beat mine because of the extra chrome.
Alright, so again, that's Lee's Speed Shop in Savage, Minnesota, right on Highway 13. If you're familiar with the area, it comes from Interstate 35 and it turns directly southbound to Prior Lake and Craig, all points south. And you're right on the corner here next to American Thunder. You'll see them first, and as you make the corner, you'll see his sign back here. Thanks for having us. Really appreciate it.
Well, thank you.
A wealth of knowledge. So check them out at it's leespeedshop.com, right?
Yes.
And I was on there today, and you're doing some updating to the website. So if you go on there and it's not done, just keep checking back, and you can get to them from there, or right through us at wildwheels.webs.com. Either way, you need some good performance work done to your engine. Check this guy out. Thanks for checking us out today. See you later.